Hey everyone, welcome to Be the Change. My name is Lily Mott, and today's episode is about how change comes when you realize that every change you make, no matter how small, is important. I'm so excited to share this special episode with you today because I spoke with an inspiring guest and partnered with an organization that is doing great work around the world to produce this episode. Elishia Alleyne is this week's guest, and among many other things, Elishia is a youth advisor for Reach Out to All CIC, which is the sponsor of this week's episode. Reach Out to All is a social enterprise that inspires and equips young people from the ages of 13 to 30 with the personal development skills they need to become confident in amplifying their voices. Elishia and I talked about the work she's done with Reach Out to All and so much more. So without further ado, let's get started with this episode featuring Elishia Alleyne and Reach Out to All CIC.
Hi, so my name's Elishia. I am a corporate responsibility and sustainability practitioner. I did an apprenticeship in CSR and sustainability practices. I have worked in community investment and done charitable work since I was able to make my own decisions. So I worked in the community centre when I was younger for older adults. And then as I got a little bit older, I started to do youth work. So worked in safeguarding for young people, making sure that everyone was included. So doing a lot of I&D work as well. Yeah, and as I've came into adulthood, I've done work with charities like Reach Out to All, Plan International UK, UN Women, just so that I feel as though that I'm fulfilled and aligned. I feel like if I have a spare moment, it's something I want to do. So yeah, I love doing charity work. It fulfills me a lot.
That is such a great way to get started, and I would love to know more about what inspired you to get started with this work. What was that path like for you to get involved with charity work? What was that like for you?
Yeah, so I'd say that a lot of the reasons as to why I became quite close with charitable work was my mom especially. I think watching her as I've grown up, she's a very, very strong individual. And she always taught us to, if we're not advocating for ourselves, to advocate for other people. She's worked in healthcare for the whole of her career. So I always believed that that was the best job to have done because it just felt so amazing knowing that she was helping other people. I knew that I wanted to do that, but in a different practice. So that's why I started working in a community centre. I think seeing people that don't have a lot, and like in my upbringing, I saw a lot that how to strive even if you don't have a lot. And I think that seeing that, understanding it a little bit better and being able to see what positive change actually means in practice was quite empowering. So I'd say from a young age, I'd say as soon as I came into like my teenage years, I was like, I want to help people because I've seen what it's like when people don't receive that help. So I was quite passionate about it from quite young. And also seeing my sister going to school in an area that wasn't the most privileged at all. A lot of that empowered me to want to help other people and make sure that everyone was seen and heard and valued.
Thank you so much for sharing that with me, and I love that you shared how your own personal experiences made you want to make a difference. I think that's so inspiring. So I would also love for you to talk a little bit more about the work that you're doing now to make change. Can you tell me about the organizations you've worked with, like Reach Out to All and UN Women, and the projects that you've done throughout your change-making journey so far?
Thanks, Lily. Yeah, so I think that I started off, obviously I explained before, with the community centre work, which was in a local area close to me, in the Midlands. But as I started to make more decisions within charity work, I did some work with Plan International, which is a global NGO for gender equality and children's rights. So when I started working with them as a youth advisor, it really kind of like it ignited the power again inside me. That was like, I know that these are the things that I want to do and be involved in. So I looked at other charities to see what else I could do because that's on a massive scale. But it's also about helping uplift other social enterprises as well. I connected with Marion through LinkedIn, and she shared with me more about her charity and some of the work that she was doing. I felt like we were super aligned quite quickly. So I wanted to see what I could do to help. So I joined their youth advisory network and also their research team. So we've been involved in quite a lot of work with the Big Help Out. Also, one of the things that I'd say is quite key to the work that I've done with Reach Out to All is Marion is a massive advocate for young people being a part of all decision making. So whether it is a press release, she'll make sure that a young person has their stamp on it. It's not just about them overseeing it, but it's actually about them being a part of sculpting that as well, which I think is so I definitely see how it empowers other people as well as myself, knowing that their work is out there, and they are valued within that decision making. I also have worked, like you mentioned before, with UN Women. So I was a delegate at CSW 68, which is the Commission of the Status of Women. There was delegates from all across the globe that had attended. I felt so grateful to be listening in, hearing the decision making, hearing what different parts of the globe are doing. But also, I think it was quite humbling as well, knowing that knowing the progress that's being made in some countries isn't anywhere near what we're doing as well. So it kind of makes you think like, okay, I'm definitely grateful for what's happening so far, but you want to help uplift other people as well and other nations so that we can be one much more equal, but in a progressive manner. So yeah, so I find I do tap into a lot of gender equality work, and I've done work with like charities like UN Women, well, Plan International UK, and work with UN Women. And I think what Reach Out to All does is it encapsulates lots of different issues that are found across the world, as they're not just based in the UK, they do work globally, but highlights issues such as mental health and well-being, youth advocacy, but empowers each of the young people that are involved to know that what they care about and the social issues that they want to advocate for, they can do. And yeah, it is a lovely, lovely network to be a part of. So I'm super grateful.
So, now that you've heard about all of the great work that Reach Out to All CIC is doing in the UK and around the world, I'm going to share how you can get involved in the work they're doing too. On Saturday, August 24th from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., Reach Out to All is going to be hosting its Birmingham Youth event and would love for you to join. The day is going to be packed with activities, workshops, and networking, and it will be a great opportunity to connect with other young changemakers and, of course, learn more about and get involved in the work Reach Out to All is doing. Once again, if you're in the UK, in Birmingham, on August 24th, come join us at Reach Out to All's Birmingham Youth event. You can find more details about the event and how to register in the description of this episode. And now, back to my conversation with Elishia, who I'm going to put on the spot and ask her to share some other ways that you can get connected and get involved with Reach Out to All.
Yeah, I think it's putting me on the spot in the best way possible. So I think some of the ways that you can get involved is obviously if you have LinkedIn, connect. I know they use Instagram. They are also on Eventbrite. So if you follow Reach Out to All and Eventbrite, you can see the events that are coming up. Like, for example, the one in Birmingham. They've also done events in London. And there's lots of great opportunities within there. There's normally speakers. They'll have different workshops. I think they've done Train the Trainer a few months ago, where they empowered young people to be involved in training. And I think that it's quite empowering to see people flip the switch sometimes, because it's normally you find more older adults that are involved in training, but actually having youth voice at the center of that has been so impactful. So yeah, so I'd say if you literally just type and Reach Out to All of most things, you'll find it. And Marion is so lovely. We'll be really happy to connect with you and make sure that if you're interested, that there's an opportunity for you. And I'm pretty sure if you go on their website, you can find a form to fill in. So you can tick what part of youth advocacy work you'd like to be involved in, whether that's research, whether that's grants, whether that's advisory work. There's plenty of things to do. Facilitation, there's loads. There's lots and lots. But yeah, definitely out there. So if you are interested and you want to start your advocacy journey, I definitely say Reach Out to Us. A beautiful way to start.
I totally agree with that, and I will put all of those links in the description of this episode for people to find. So I would love to go back to your work as a change maker and ask you a little bit more about your motivations for doing this work. Are there any pieces of advice or words of wisdom that you've picked up while doing this work that have really stuck with you or that motivate you to keep doing this work you're doing?
Yeah, so this is something I was actually speaking to one of my friends with quite recently because she does a lot of activism in the gender equity space, and she tries to do as much as she can in every single way, shape, and form. But I know that definitely feels for her now in that space, because there's loads that she does and it gets involved in. But I think that knowing that the change that you make, no matter how small, is so important. Even if you're just having a conversation with somebody about what you're passionate about, if you maybe wear a pin badge that has it on, like the smallest things make change because they start conversations, they start the change within thoughts. It is a process. Some of the things I find really useful is looking at things as they are, in a sense, like because sometimes you can be prone to catastrophizing things and looking at things on a much larger scale than they actually are. Just maybe look at what have you done today or within the last month to create change, whether that's writing. You don't have to do anything as massive as like writing policy or anything like that, but you could have had a conversation with someone that didn't know anything about the issue that you're advocating for, and that actually does make change. Some people will argue, oh, but you've not spoken to hundreds of people yet, you've only spoken to 50, but those 50 people could speak to another 50 people. And I think that just knowing that what you do is so important, like no matter the scale, really helps, I think. And I've seen some people through that, like for example, myself, through those works, it's really helped because I might be like, oh yeah, I've only done that, but it's only small, or I've only I've only had conversations with maybe 50 people, and I hope to have done it to 1,000. And but in those conversations, those one-on-ones or those smaller interactions sometimes are actually more powerful as well. I just would say have gratitude for all the things that you have done. And yeah, just I think you have to kind of be your own cheerleader as well sometimes, because you can't always rely on other people's reactions. You have to feel empowered within yourself as well.
Those are some really great points to keep in mind, especially about how making those small changes can really make a big impact. I think those are great. So, what is next for you? Can you tell me a little bit more about what's coming up for you in the future?
Yeah, so I'd say I'm definitely continuing within my journey. I am quite grounded in the work that I'm doing, but I still feel like I'm finding my feet. Like I know what it is that I like to be involved in. So yeah, I think I'm just probably going to amplify some of the work that I've done a lot more. I've also I also want what I feel like I want to do, which I'm sharing with you guys now, is probably do more work for children in care. So I recently connected with a charity called Quorum, which does work for both children in care, and also one of the people that inspires me a lot is Lem Sisse, who does a lot of work for care leavers and shares, and his story is very, very empowering. So I think I want to be more involved in that type of work, seeing what I can do to help advocate, maybe finishing my qualification as going through like the process of becoming an independent visitor. That's one of the things that's I've got plans that I'd really love to do. So yeah, just continue to do youth advocacy work, but I want to actually do things that are more connected with the individuals. So I've done things that are on much larger scales, but I want to actually be closer connected. So maybe meet some people that might be the root cause of some of the things that I'm championing or advocating for. So yeah, so I want to be more connected with that. So I'm looking forward to continuing my journey, and yeah, just have a look out and see. But yeah, that's definitely the things I want to be more involved in the next coming years.
That is so exciting, and I cannot wait to follow along with all of this work. So, I have one more question for you. Lots of young people want to create change, but they may not know how to get started with that work. What advice do you have for those people who may be listening?
One of the things that I kind of stand by quite a lot when talking to young people that when they get involved in advocacy work or activism is looking internally, because like what you said, lots and lots of young people do want to get involved, but sometimes they're confused as to what it is they want to get involved into. So I'd say look internally, think about maybe some of your life experiences, the things that you've been involved in, some of the things that maybe even trigger you. Like like for example, I know that I get quite empowered in a sense, riled up, unfortunately, when I see that people are not listened to. So I'm always wanting to represent people that are underrepresented. That's one of the things that like kind of like switches me on. But I know that some people it might be around maybe learning disabilities, have a look into learning disability charities. They might have advocacy opportunities, campaigns that they might want people to get involved in and sharing it with other people because having those conversations, like I said before, like doesn't matter how small it is, they do make an impact. So yeah, those are the things that I would say is um is look internally first. Ask yourself the important questions like what am I passionate about? What keeps me going? What makes me upset as well? Like what are the things that I maybe see on in the media that I feel as though I wish there was less of that, or I wish that there was a change here. And then having a look into maybe charities, social enterprises, and campaigns that you can get involved in, and just starting there. That's what definitely what I would say.
I really enjoyed talking with Elishia about her change-making journey and especially about her work with Reach Out to All. I want to quickly highlight Elishia's words of wisdom about how important the small steps can be towards making a wider impact. Whether you choose to make change by wearing a pin to support a cause you're passionate about, or you choose to reach out and spend time volunteering with an organization like Reach Out to All, it is so important to remember that every change you make, no matter how small, is important. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and you can find Elishia on LinkedIn, and you can find Reach Out to All on lots of different platforms. I included all of those links in the description of this episode. If you want to talk about anything I mentioned, please reach out to me by email at lily@bethechangepodcast.org or on Instagram at Be The Change Media Network. I am working on expanding Be The Change Media Network, which means bringing you more inspiring stories from amazing guests. If you enjoyed this episode, I would really appreciate it if you could leave the podcast a rating and a comment because it will help these stories to reach, educate, and inspire more people. And I would love to hear your thoughts and feedback. Tune in for my next episode, but until then, be the change you wish to see in the world. Bye, guys.